Welcome back to the Hurry Up Offense, fantasy football news and advice for week 3. Wow, already week 3 of the NFL fantasy football season. In about 10 minutes or so, may go over, who knows. I'm Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro. Let's go. Today's topic is all about how we are moving into week 3 and how it is still too early to panic, to pull the alarm. It's not time to start dumping proven commodities because you think they're just going to underperform this year, because they are proven commodities for a weekend. A reason. Jesus Christ, I can't even speak. Hopefully they will perform for the weekend for you though. It's not time to cut bait yet is the point. But first, let's get into the news. I'm going to start it off right here, right now. First thing with Miles Sanders. I'm going to take a victory lap right here because Miles Sanders just proved on Monday night for the second week in a row that he is the dominant all-star running back in that offense. He was 17 for 23 Monday night. He also added 3 catches to add to that. Now, it wasn't a ton of yardage, and it wasn't going to win your week for you. But the point being, Miles Sanders is an elite running back, and he is not going to be surpassed anytime soon, especially by Kenneth Gainwell, which you all tried to say all offseason that this is Kenneth Gainwell's spot, and he's going to be the man. Obviously not. Miles Sanders is the better running back, and there's definitely no fear of Boston Scott taking that spot. So let's stick with Miles Sanders for now, unless something severe happens. Interesting news over in the Bucs camp. It seems with all the wide receiver problems that have been going on, Tom Brady said, go get me a slot receiver. We'll just leave it at that. A slot receiver. Cole Beasley joins the team. He's down there. He's going to be catching balls from Tom Brady. Now, any other team, I would say it really wouldn't matter. He was very productive with Dak Prescott and also with Josh Allen the past few seasons. So he can be productive out of the slot. That is definitely for sure with the right person feeding him. This is Tom Brady who's going to be feeding him. And what does he love? He loves him a slot receiver. That's what he does. He loves a slot receiver, and he will feed him. Now, he's going to be looking downfield when Julio comes back, when Mike Evans comes back, when Chris Godwin comes back. But until that happens, Cole Beasley could put up some numbers. Cole Kmet. Has anyone seen Cole Kmet? Is Cole Kmet in the building? No? Okay. Hey, this would be a slightly under mediocre signing if it wasn't for the team that this guy is going to and the position he plays. Marlon Mack. Actually, it's technically not a signing freshly. He was signed to the practice squad. Now he is signed to the main roster. Usually we wouldn't care about these sort of things, except for the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan seems to get a lot of production out of nobodies, and Marlon Mack has been somebody who was productive before. Now, I don't even know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because we saw the way Tevin Coleman played out there. By the way, Tevin Coleman is coming back also, because Shanahan loves the guy, and I don't blame him. You know, he's not going to be anything great, but it is what it is. But Marlon Mack is ahead of him right now, so if he gets his shot over, say, a Jeff Wilson or someone, this guy's could put up some numbers. So if you're in a deep league, throw him on the bench. Michael Gallup will take a full slate of reps this week. That'll be good. It appears he's on track to play Monday night. Now, this Cowboys situation is not pretty at all. It is not pretty with Dak being out. But we do need both of the receivers out on the field for either one of them to be productive. We need to draw coverage. I would prefer that Gallup is out there drawing coverage off of CeeDee Lamb, but of course the defenses are going to pick out CeeDee Lamb because he is the more dominant receiver. So they would tend to target him more, but Gallup, being a real threat, can help pull some of that coverage, and he could also put up some points himself if CeeDee Lamb is being double covered. So with that happening, even though we got Cooper Rush at quarterback, we need both of these guys out there. And the Wednesday night news dump is kind of weak right now, so I will say that Lamar Jackson is dealing with a sore elbow, which earlier they just said a little bit of soreness, nothing to worry about. And then they officially listed him as questionable, saying that this elbow may be bothering him, but they are assuring us Lamar Jackson will be out there and playing. Now, the last bit of news, DeAndre Swift is feeling much better. Dan Campbell says that Swift should be fine. He should be playing. He should be out there. This is the highlight of the offense outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown. There are two shining stars on this offense, and one of them is not TJ Hockenson. Although I think TJ Hockenson could be something. He has the measurables. He has the athleticism. He has the pedigree, but he's not been used. I mean, injuries aside, he was somewhat better than a rookie should have been in his first season, but he's not been used very well since coming back off of a few injuries that he's had. But let's get back to Swift. Swift is probably going to be a top 10, maybe a top 5 running back at the end of the season. And it appears that Amon-Ra St. Brown will be also. Play both of those guys every single week. That's it for the news this week. Let's get into the game theory portion of the show. Now, this is simple. It is not time to give up. Guys, do you want to know the secret to winning fantasy football? You're not going to win every single year, but you want to kind of shoot for that 60% range. If you can pull off, well, actually, some people never win a championship. Some people play for years and never win a single championship. So you want to shoot for a championship first. Then you want to shoot for multiple championships in a year. Then once you get that, you're trying to shoot for every single championship. Now, here is the secret. And like I said, it's not going to pay off every single time. But you have to go with high risk, high reward players. Now, you want to be risk averse when you're looking at these players, if that makes any sense to you. You don't want to go with too high of risk, because then the reward is not really as high as you think it is, right? Trey Lance was a gamble this year. Now he's out. But if Trey Lance would have stayed in and played, that guy was most likely going to be a league winner because you got him later in drafts. This was planned to be his breakout season, and he has all the measurables to do it. Much like Josh Allen's breakout season, much like Cam Newton's breakout season. These people won championships in fantasy football for a lot of people because they got them later in the drafts. They weren't taking who was number 1 overall back in 2015, Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Yes, those guys could also win you championships, but you're taking a chance on a later guy because you want those proven superstars to where you can get those guys like wide receivers and running backs in the first round instead of taking a quarterback. You can take a quarterback later. You have to take that high risk, high reward, unproven guy or a comeback guy. Like if you took a Lamar Jackson this year, it should pay off for you. If you took a Tua, it looks like Tua is on route to completely bust fantasy football wide open this year. But that's the key, guys. That's just how you do it. That's how you win at fantasy football. You have to take a big chance. And once you know the trends and cycles, you know which players to take a chance on. Listen, 9 times out of 10, slow and steady is not going to win the race in fantasy football. You want explosion. You want high end. Of course, you can't predict that with a 100% accuracy rate, but you do know if you take a Tom Brady, if you take a Kirk Cousins, if you take a Matt Ryan, these guys are only going to get you so far. But hey, I'm just waffling off on a tangent right now. I want to get back to the original topic, which is it's not time to cut bait on players who are proven commodities. There's guys out there like Derrick Henry, who was showing you how dominant he was in week 1. Then he kind of fell off this week. It was a tough game. They fell way behind. They got stomped out. So therefore, they're not going to run the ball that many times, are there? It's not time to give up on him. Don't trade him for a lesser commodity. There's also guys like Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, he may be reaching the end of his boom seasons. Maybe Derrick Henry is too. But these guys are proven commodities, and more times than not, they are going to give you a lot of production, even if it's in the last season of their boom production. You can't just cut bait on these proven commodities for a down game or two. There's also guys like J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins was a highly drafted guy who showed out in his first season, had an injury, now he's coming back. Let's not cut bait on that guy until he gets back in there and we see if he can return to dominance. Is he going to be Cam Akers, or is he just going to return to dominance? That's what we need to see, so you can't just cut him yet or trade him. You probably wouldn't cut any of these guys I'm talking about, but you don't want to trade him for lesser commodities. You need to keep these guys in your lineup at least a week or two more. It's not time to cut bait yet. Anyway, I hope all of that rambling made sense to you guys. It's kind of a word vomit on things that I have found out about fantasy football over the years that I want to share with people, because I want other people to win also. I want people to understand how this game works. I want this game to grow. I want more competition, dang it. That's what I want. Guys, please subscribe to the Beyond Football channel if you want to hear Alex and I break down every game every single week of the NFL season. Check out the scoreboard. It's already up there on the channel. You can go back and watch it. Thank you for joining me this week on the Hurry Up Offense. I am Smokey Rameriz, your fantasy football pro, and I'll see you next week. Deuces.